like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Diorpop. Purple Heart. Have you ever felt a moment so quiet, yet powerful enough to shake an entire city? The kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, but heavy with meaning. Seoul has always been alive, restless, and loud in its own way. But there are moments when even a city like Seoul seems to pause, as if holding its breath. Today, we are standing inside one of those moments. Because BTS is returning, not with noise, not with spectacle, but with something far deeper. After years of waiting, growth, distance, and quiet transformation, the story begins again. And at the center of it all are two names that continue to move hearts across the world. Jimin and Jungkook, stepping back into the studio, recording a new chapter of BTS together. This isn't just a comeback. This is a homecoming. And here on Diorpop, we're going to feel every moment of it. Slowly, honestly, and with all the emotions that words can barely hold. Seoul has never truly slept. The city breathes constantly through neon lights, subway tunnels, crowded sidewalks, and restless nights. But on that day, something felt different. It wasn't louder. It wasn't chaotic. Instead, it was quieter than usual, as if the entire city was holding its breath. A familiar tension lingered in the air. BTS was coming back. And Seoul felt it before anyone said a word. There was no explosive announcement. No dramatic countdown. No grand press conference filled with flashing cameras. Just fragments of information drifting quietly, from insiders to studios, from whispers in the industry to subtle movements noticed by fans. And yet, that silence carried more weight than any headline ever could. Because everyone knew one thing. When BTS moves quietly, something powerful is being prepared. For many, BTS's return is not simply a musical comeback. It is a marker of time. A line separating years of waiting from a new chapter that has never existed before. The years apart were not empty years. They were filled with distance, individual duties, personal growth, and long periods of solitude. Each member walked his own path, faced his own doubts, and learned how to exist outside the constant noise of the spotlight. Now, as they return together, they are no longer the same 7 young men the world once knew. They come back as 7 artists shaped by life, by silence, pressure, self-discovery, and resilience. And among them, 2 names have drawn particular attention. Jimin. The recording studio they entered was never officially revealed. No behind-the-scenes photos. No leaked videos. Yet the world knew. The industry knew. ARMY knew. Jimin and Jungkook had begun recording BTS's new album. And that single fact alone was enough to send a quiet shockwave through Seoul. Jimin arrived with a calm that hadn't always been there before. His presence felt grounded, almost gentle, yet undeniably deep. He was no longer just a performer fueled by applause and stage lights. He carried emotions refined by loneliness, reflection, and unspoken battles. When he stepped into the recording booth, his voice wasn't just beautiful, it was heavy with meaning. Jungkook, beside him, carried a different intensity. Once known as the flawless golden magne, he now felt more human than ever. There was honesty in his gaze. A quiet determination in his movements. He no longer chased perfection for the sake of proving himself. He chased truth. Authenticity. Music that sounded like real life. When they stood in front of the microphones, there were no long conversations. None were needed. Years of shared experiences had built a language only they understood. Jimin knew when Jungkook needed space. Jungkook knew when Jimin needed reassurance. Their bond, long observed, debated, and felt by fans, now existed in its most genuine form, emotional collaboration rooted in trust. The songs they recorded were not made to follow trends. They were not designed to satisfy algorithms or charts. These were songs born from experience. From sleepless nights. From quiet questions about identity, distance, and what it means to return after everything has changed. There was longing in every melody, courage in every lyric, vulnerability woven into every harmony. Seoul responded in its own subtle way. Cafes began playing BTS songs more frequently, as if remembering something they had missed. Digital billboards displayed silhouettes instead of faces. International media shifted their tone, from asking if BTS would return to wondering how powerful the return would be. Because when BTS comes back fully, the world doesn't just listen. The world pauses. For ARMY, the moment felt almost unreal. Years of waiting, holding on to memories, solo releases, quiet hope. And now, just the confirmation that Jimin and Jungkook were recording again was enough to unlock emotions that had been carefully contained. Silent tears. Hearts racing. The quiet relief of knowing the waiting had meaning. Yet the most powerful part of this comeback is not the excitement. It is the calm. BTS no longer needs to prove anything. They've passed that stage long ago. This album is not about breaking records or chasing numbers. It is about presence. About saying without shouting, we are still here and we are back honestly. Behind closed studio doors, Jimin and Jungkook continue to work. Re-recording lines. Adjusting tones. Letting silence speak before sound returns. Each song becomes a fragment of their soul. Each harmony reflects a journey that was never easy and never meant to be. This return will not arrive like a destructive storm. It will arrive like a deep earthquake, unseen at first, but felt in the bones. Seoul will remain standing. The world will keep turning. But something has already shifted. A new chapter has begun. And at the center of it all are two voices, Jimin and Jungkook, coming together once again. Not just as singers. Not just as BTS members. But as two individuals who chose to return side by side, carrying their stories back into the music. BTS is not simply returning. They are coming home. And as this chapter quietly comes to an end, one thing becomes clear. BTS never truly left. They simply took the time they needed to grow, to breathe, to become whole again. And now, as Jimin and Jungkook lend their voices to a new album, they aren't just creating music. They're sharing pieces of their journey, every doubt, every moment of silence, every step forward. This return doesn't demand attention. It earns it. Some stories don't need to be loud to be powerful. Some reunions don't need explanations to be felt. And when BTS finally stands together again, it won't feel like a comeback. It will feel like recognition. Like something that was always meant to return, finally finding its way home. Thank you for being part of this moment. Thank you for waiting, believing, and feeling it with us. This is Diorpop, where stories aren't just told, they're felt.